Hi everyone, welcome to the course. So today we will be learning all about promises. So what are promises? Promises are basically one of your asynchronous method. Means that as I told you in previous lecture that there is synchronous JavaScript and asynchronous JavaScript. Promises is a concept that comes under asynchronous JavaScript. That how I can make something asynchronous. Asynchronous means something which the task will both the task or multiple tasks can run independently at the same time, right? Parallelly. Now, what this promises is nothing. Basically, it's like a normal promise. For example, let's suppose when there is a probability for a task to happen in the future, means later on, but there is a surety that this task will happen. Let's take an example that I have given you some task, okay, and you are giving me promise in return that you will tell me that whether the task is completed or not, right? This is the promise given by you. So you are saying that you will tell me even the task is completed. If not, then also you will inform me because you have given me promise, right? So this promise means, let's take an example that you have to complete a task, right? And let's take a simpler example, okay? I am asking you to give me a pen. Right now you don't have pen, but you are promising me that you will tell me that you have got the pen from the market or not. So now there are two probability over here, possibility. That one thing that you will get the pen from the market. Now the another thing is that you will not get the pen from the market. But the promise assurance over here is that you will inform me whether you have got the pen or not. I hope you are understanding what I'm trying to say. Let's clear this concept more. So promise is nothing. To make it simpler, promise is equal to, now how do you create a promise? You use a new keyword for that and then you will use a promise method. Now this promise takes two arguments, which is resolve and reject, right? Resolve means that you have got the pen, reject means you did not get the pen, right? So this is the resolve and a reject case. There are two cases. Initially, there are actually three cases: pending, fulfilled, and reject. Pending is when you went to market to search for a pen, right? You have not got the assurance that you have got the pen or not. That is pending state. That you are yet to get the answer that you have got the pen or not. That is pending state, which is the initial state. Now, if you have got the pen, it will go in resolve. That means you have successfully got the pen. Reject, that means you have not got the pen. So, under this, you will have an arrow function which will, let me just do this thing. Okay, so in this, there is resolve. You can also write RES. Basically, everyone writes a resolve or reject just to get a clear. You can write any name over here. It is automatically going to take resolve and reject. Now, what I want to do is let pen equals to true. Okay. Now, what I am saying is initially that you have got the pen. I am just assuming it. Okay. And under this, if pen, so it's already telling me, so I have just entered tab, so giving me suggestion. Now if pen is there, that means if you have got the pen, that is true. If you have got the pen, then resolve will get executed. If not, then else will get rejected. That means you have not got the pen. There are only two cases. First is the pending state, okay, when you have not got anything. But when you have got the pen, either this promise will resolve or reject. So if it is true, it is resolved. If it is false, it got rejected. Okay, so you will not see anything because I am not doing anything. For that, I need to console.log my promise. Now let's see what you will get. See, you have got fulfilled. That means your state, now your promise state is fulfilled. Now result is promise is resolved. You can buy a pen. You can buy a pen or you bought a pen. You got the pen. Okay. You got a pen. Cannot. You did not. Okay. So this is what your reject. Now, if you want to reject it, that means you need to make it false. You did not get any pen, right? You went to market, but you did not get any pen. You did not get any result. That means this got rejected. Okay. So whenever you see a rejected state, this comes, this lines gets executed. But now see, it will always tell you ungot error, because I'll tell you why. Whenever you see this ungot, means you have your state is rejected, but you have not handled. Now there are three things. Whenever your promise gets resolved, it executes then. Okay, what do I mean by that? Right, promise. So to execute your resolved state, what you need to do is you need to use then method. So how you will use? You will use your promise name dot then, and this then will get you message. Which message? This particular message. Okay, so over here write your message in arrow function. Okay, so console.log, this is then. This is the then, means in then you will get your message. Now see, here you are getting an error because your state got false, your promise got rejected. Now once you will make it to true, you will get your message got executed. So whenever your promise gets resolved, it will execute a then statement, and whenever your promise gets rejected, it executes catch statement. So there is another statement called catch. Now what happen is, this reject state is your error state. So error is handled by your catch method. Okay, so what you will do, you will do dot catch, and in catch you will get an error, right? So what you will do, you will console.log your catch. Okay, catch means your error. So now you need to change your boolean from true to false, and now you will see this is a catch, promise is rejected, did not found a pen. So I hope you have understood this thing now, that whenever your promise gets resolved, your then statement gets executed, but whenever your promise gets rejected, your catch statement gets executed. Now there is something called finally. Finally always gets executed. Why? It does not matter whether your promise is resolved or rejected, it is always executed. Means it is the confirmation that your promise is solved. right? Your promise is executed. That means your promise is completed. So promise was to inform, not to get pen, right? So if you got the pen, you pass the message that you have got the pen. If you didn't, then then also you pass the message that you didn't get. So dot finally. In finally, you don't have to pass anything. You just need to execute that final block. Final block means promises over, completed. See, this will get executed. Even it is false. Now this was false, still it got executed. Make it true. Then also it will get executed. See? So this is your promise. So when it is useful to use promise, whenever you have to fetch a data, whenever you have to fetch data from a server. What do I mean by that? For example, you have your UI design on front end. Now you want to get some data from third party. So how you will get? With the help of an API, right? So API, I will explain you in next lecture that what is API. Okay, let me explain you right now. API is nothing but an application programming interface. That means that it is a intermediator from the client system to the server to get the data. Now what happened is your client server, let me just show you something called API diagram. API diagram example. Go to images. Let me just find out the simplest example. Here it is. Now see, what happens is this is the client using any website. Now let's assume the client is using a travel app, okay, where there are hotels also. Now hotels are being used by, hotel is a third party data, right? Now you want to access it. Here Twitter example is there, so let's take that. Now this client is using Twitter, okay. Now Twitter is handling the data dynamically, that is not static. Now what will happen is this client will request some data. Now this request will go through API, right? So this is the API which will send a response to the server that you need this data, okay, in the database. So now once the data is selected, once it got the data, it will respond back to the client. So your API is an intermediate to contact between the client and the server, okay. I hope you have got this point. So basically in that case we also use promise. So this API contains the data in the format of JSON. JSON means it's an object. Basically you have learned object, right? You remember it. Let me just show you JSON data format. In the images I can show you. See, I can show you over here. It's nothing but it's an object. See, this is the object, means the array of object, right? But it contains only string, right? So this is your JSON format. So what is this? It's an array of object. So basically it's an object, and even your promise always returns an object, right? So this is how your API thing works. So this is promises is used in that case whenever it wants to fetch the data. So it does not assure that it will fetch the data or not, but yeah, this API either it will get executed or it will not get executed. There are two things. So if the API gets executed, it will give the data, and then if the API gets error, it will be executed by the catch method. Okay, I hope you have understood this promises well. In the next lecture, what I will do is I will give you an example to actually execute your promises in a structured way with the real life example. Okay, thank you so much, everyone.